Entrepreneurship isn't just about business or money making. It's about a deep personal belief in oneself and believing in yourself before anybody else does. In this episode, we're going to talk about a deep story of mine and how one moment, one seed planted can change the trajectory of your life as it did mine. We're going to talk about how this ties into entrepreneurship, risk-taking, and the mindset needed to succeed. If you ever doubted yourself or felt like others judged you based on your limitations versus your potential, or if you've avoided taking big risks, this one here is for you. Let's go ahead and get to it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Success Spectrum Podcast. I'm your host, Kadeem McLean, and today I'm going to share a quick story with you. When I was in grade 5, I didn't care much about my grades, honestly, up until grade 5, right? And I knew, basically I was told that your parents have to agree for you to be held back a grade. So I just made sure I did 50%. Right? I wanted to make sure I was passing, but I didn't care to do my homework when I was at home or do anything extra or above, right? Didn't really care much about my grades. But that led to people judging me on my limitations, based on my limitations. So my other peers, they would call me stupid, they would call me dumb, and they'd make fun of me, right? And what I realized is by grade 5, I got sick and tired of it. Something snapped in me. And what snapped was I said to myself, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to prove to myself that I'm smart enough to get good grades because I knew I could. I just wasn't doing it. And so what happened is a year later, my teacher pulled me aside one day, right? Grade 6. He pulled me aside and he said to me, Kadeem, you are one of the top most improved students in the school. The principal hand selected you for an opportunity to go to Tim Hortons camps for 10 days this summer. Do you want to go? I was reluctant, but I said I'd ask my mother, right? Because she gets the final say at the end of the day. But I said I'd ask my mother, and I was reluctant to go. I've never been to camp before, never spent so many days away from home. And to be honest, if I'm being completely open, camp, I was always told, wasn't necessarily for kids like me. But I ended up going. My mother said, yes, you're going. So I ended up going. Thank God I went because I experienced something new for the first time, right? Going on a plane and going somewhere to Kentucky. It was in Kentucky. I experienced new activities, right? I made new friends within the 10 days that I was there. New activities such as water tubing, right? We had a camp-wide water fight, which was a great time because it was hot, very hot. And it was in July, August time. What happened was it was a great experience, right? But on my last day there, day 10, where all the campers are getting their luggage ready and they're putting it in front of the dining hall outside for the buses to come. When the buses come, we load up our luggage and we're on our way back to the airport to take us back home. I'm standing there on a beautiful day around all of this luggage. And my camp counselor nicknamed Mouth because he was a short guy, right? Kind of stocky, bald guy. And he was named Mouth because he could yell, basically call your name from across the campgrounds, which was a pretty big campground. And you'd hear him perfectly clearly, right? He was very loud. So he was nicknamed Mouth. And he ran up to me when I was standing around that luggage that day, waiting for the bus to come pick us up to bring us home. Tears rolling down his face. And mixed emotions and expressions of joy, happiness, and belief. And he said to me, you know what, Kadeem? You're going to be the one to find the cure for cancer. And then he hugged me. That to me, I was kind of in shock, to be honest, what are you in grade 5, grade 6, 10 years old, 11 years old? As a 10, 11-year-old or 11-year-old, I was, like I said, I was in shock. And what happened was, one of the reasons I was in shock is because I didn't know whether or not I believed it. Growing up, the way I grew up, in the neighborhoods I grew up in and so on, I was basically taught not to trust people's word. So I know people will just say things and I have to think to myself, is he just saying something? And I said, no, this felt genuine. It felt real. And then my second question, the second thing that came to mind was, what does he see in me that I don't see in myself? Why does he believe in me so much? Have so much confidence in who I am and who I'm going to be. And it led me to say to myself, you know what? Here's how I'll say it. He planted a seed of confidence in me, a seed of self-belief that I didn't necessarily realize at the time. But that seed that he planted led to me writing a book, led to me starting this podcast, starting a business 10 years ago, that led to me starting a new business just this past few years. And it led to me being a paid public speaker. It led to me being who I am today with a certain level of self-belief and confidence that would have not have developed otherwise, right? He instilled that in me from his simple words that day. And why he said it is basically because I was a quiet kid. I did what I was told, especially getting the opportunity to go to camp like that. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. So I made sure I was basically doing what I was told. I was quiet, wasn't causing any problems, getting along with everybody as I normally do. And so his words to me that day, if I ever had the chance to meet him again, I would have to, buying this man dinner wouldn't be enough, right? But he instilled certain things in me that I believe relate directly to entrepreneurship. Because without that experience and without him speaking those words of belief and encouragement into me, I don't think I would be who I am today. It was a life-altering experience that changed the trajectory of my life. And what I realized looking back is me deciding to focus on my grades and do my homework. And honestly, I didn't really have too much homework because I stopped talking in class. I focused on getting my work done so I wouldn't have to have homework, so that I could still go out and play basketball or play tag or whatever it was with my friends at the time. And that led me to, again, realizing this opportunity and having this gentleman mouth speak such encouraging words into me and planting that seed of confidence and self-belief. Because without me betting on myself to say, you know what, I'm going to prove to myself that I can get good grades, I'm going to prove to myself that I am smart. Without that, these opportunities of going to camp would not have happened. And because of that experience, I was brought back basically for 5 years afterwards to attend the Tim Hortons leadership camp program at the time. And that whole experience, again, shaped who I am today. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, we have to understand we have to believe in ourselves before others even believe in us, right? You have to believe in yourself, have that self-confidence, that belief to say, you know what, I'm going. I don't care what anybody else is saying, the negativity around me, I'm shedding that off and I'm moving forward regardless. Because entrepreneurs don't wait for validation. They move forward, right? They move forward and then let the world catch on afterwards. They don't wait for the world to catch up and say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Because by that point, it might be too late. They move and then the world catches on. And that being said, it's not about knowing everything. It's about taking action first and then figuring things out as you go, right? You don't need all the eggs to be in a row. You just start. You don't need to have everything in order and know everything before you start. Just start, get going, get moving, and then figure things out on the back end. Start despite the uncertainty. That's what entrepreneurs do, successful entrepreneurs. They turn doubt into motivation, right? The people who doubt you, they aren't predicting your future. But some of us will look at it and say, oh no, my loved one doesn't think I can do it. My mother, my spouse, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, whatever it might be, my sibling, they don't think I can do it. Okay, cool. Prove to them, more importantly, prove to yourself that you can do it. Because their doubts, that's all it is. It's doubts about themselves thinking that they cannot do it. It's not necessarily them saying you can't do it, but because they think they can't, they're projecting that onto you. They're projecting their negativity, right? So what you need to do is surround yourself with people who are uplifting and inspiring. The biggest or quickest way to kill a big dream is to share it with a small mind, because they can't see as far as you can see. They don't understand the opportunity with this thing that you're talking about. So the quickest way to kill that dream, is to share it with a small mind. Be careful who you speak with about your dreams. Be careful who you surround yourself with and who you speak to about certain things. I'm not saying get rid of people, but what I am saying is be careful what you say to certain people, because at the end of the day, doubt can either fuel you or it could be the reason that you don't move forward. Let it be your fuel. Let it be your motivation. Do you have a child in your life who loves to color? A niece, a nephew, a son, a daughter, a neighbor? Remember when we grew up, we did A for apple, B for banana, and so on? There's something new in town. It's going to change generations financially. It's called Money Magic, ABC. This is a financial coloring book. They get fun pictures to draw, to color in. But instead of A for apple, we got A for asset. We got B for budget. We got C for crowdfunding. This is going to, while they're enjoying themselves, teach them the financial terms that we didn't know growing up. The financial terms that some of us still don't know. Financial literacy is key and vital. And instead of learning A for apple, learning A for asset at such a young age, it's going to change their financial mindset into the future. They'll be able to start off ahead of the ball, right? Ahead of the game. So go ahead and get yourself a copy and give this gift. Give the gift of financial literacy to your children and the children in your life today. go ahead and click that link in the description and get yourself a copy. So what are some ways that we can help to allow ourselves to bet on ourselves? Again, like I said, surround yourself with positive people, uplifting people, people who are taking risks, people who are making moves and shaking and worried about progress. Not worried, but making progress. That's their focus. As opposed to, this is my life, this is who I am, this is how it's always going to be. Let me get that 9 to 5 and stay there, even though I don't like the job. If you like your job, no shade, no shame. I'm happy for you. But if you don't, why are you staying there, right? So surround yourself with people who are focused on progress, who are focused on growth, who are focused on elevating their mindset and themselves and the people around them to a higher level. That's what we need to get. Whether you join a community online, you go to an actual community, you join different sports teams or whatever the case might be because you're worried or focused rather on progress, right? Find mentors, join a group. And I actually have a Facebook group coming out very soon, which I'm going to drop the link for it down below in this description to give you some more information about it. And you can check that out for yourself. It's a free group. Go ahead and check it out. Realize the power of small moments and mentorship. Because again, if Mouth in that situation, my camp counselor, if he didn't say to me what he said to me in that one moment, I don't know if my life would have been the same. I don't know if my mindset would be the same. It led to me honing certain skills, developing certain skills, and getting better in my ability in different areas because I had that seed of confidence. If I didn't have that seed of confidence, I wouldn't be watering it. There'd be nothing to water. But because he planted that seed, I'm able to water it over time and then be who I am today and continue to grow, learn, and adapt. Without that seed, there's nothing to water. So I would have just been continuing to work a job that I didn't necessarily like for X amount of years and be stagnant, essentially, in who I am as a person. His words to me didn't change my skills overnight. Instead, what they did was they instilled a belief in me, a belief in myself that I can get better, I can grow, and I can achieve whatever dreams, desires that I have in life if I work at it, right? Not to say that it was toxic positivity, that all I need to do is think about it and it'll happen, but that I can work towards certain things to make it happen, as long as it's something that I want and I believe in myself that I can do. 2 more points to help you to bet on yourself more. One of them is to understand that confidence, it's not something you wait for, it's something you build for, you act towards it, right? Every step you take builds a little more confidence because you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to get up at this time. Great. You start getting up at that time, you're building a certain level of confidence and belief in yourself and self-esteem, which is huge because the more you keep promises to yourself, the more confidence and self-belief, self-esteem you will build in yourself. Without keeping those promises to yourself, you don't really have much self-esteem. You don't really trust yourself. How can others trust you if you don't trust yourself? Make those little promises. That's why it's important to start small. Make those little promises and build as you go. I'm going to drink however many bottles of water a day. Start drinking that water. I'm going to get up at this time. Great. Get up at that time. The more we keep those little promises, the more self-belief and the more we trust ourselves, to make it simple. The more you trust yourself, the more others can trust you and the more risks you will take. The more you will bet on yourself because you know, I know how to do this. I can get this done. One of my students recently, I was training her on how to get the life insurance license, right? And it's one thing I have for my financial business. And she was in the class for months and months. And I kept telling her, you have 3 attempts to write. Take one chance and write it because you know what you're doing. If you don't take that one chance, you never know if you can pass. And guess what? She finally wrote it. She finally passed. And she was surprised. I wasn't surprised because I knew what was in her, what she could do. I knew the knowledge that she had, but she didn't have the self-belief and self-esteem at the time to go ahead and write it. But then I helped to instill that and build it up in her over the months. And thankfully, by the grace of God, she wrote it and she was able to pass. Now, I say all that to say, no matter how much somebody else believes in you, if you don't believe in yourself, it means nothing. You have to believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, no matter how much others believe in you and talk positivity into you, you can do it and so on and so forth, you're not going to do anything because you don't believe it. And even if you do something, it's likely to fail, if you will. You're not likely to succeed in it because you don't believe that you can. Until you get that self-belief, that's the foundation. You need to believe in yourself. Without that self-belief, that self-esteem, that confidence, you're not going to go very far no matter how much others believe in you. Didn't matter how much I believed in her that she could do it. She had to have a level of belief and actually attempt to do that thing and bet on herself. Now, the other piece to this is to embrace resilience. No matter how much you go back and forth with the thought, If you don't try and stick to it and stay resilient, stay persistent, you will not succeed. Because arguably, I don't know if I can think of one person I would deem successful. Let's look at, because we always talk about it, millionaire, billionaire status, whatever. I don't know one person that tried for the first time and was automatically successful. They have all faced levels of failure. Think of one entrepreneur that you know. Doesn't matter who. Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. It doesn't matter. They have all faced levels of failure. That's why they say new levels, new devils. Because every level you step up, there will be another challenge in your way. There will be another challenge. It's inevitable. Each level you want to go up, there will be a challenge. It's up to you whether you believe in yourself enough to have that resilience, that perseverance to keep going no matter what. Keep pushing forward, right? The road to success isn't what it seems. It doesn't seem to be, or it's not as rosy with rainbows and butterflies. There will be challenges. There will be speed bumps. There will be potholes. Some of the potholes might pop your tire. You might need to pull over, get a new tire, and then get back on the road. Resilience is required in this journey. Well, what's important here is the key is not to avoid the failure, but it's to face those setbacks and just come back stronger. The quicker you can recover from these setbacks is the more successful you'll be and the quicker you'll get there. You just got to recover quickly. That's all it is. I wrote a book for you, and it's called Wings of Abundance, your strategic guide to uplift and empower you to financial overflow. What this book talks about is, one thing I like to talk about is the financial map. There's 2 points on any map. One is where you are, and the next one is where you want to go. This book, this strategic guide, will help you to determine where you are and where you want to go, and will also help you to bridge the gap. We talk about money mindset. We talk about the application of all the information that you know about finances and all the information that's in this book for you. There's resources in the back of the book. There's bonus information in there. We talk about how to overcome debt, how to build wealth, generational wealth. There's so many different strategies in here that you can utilize for yourself to get you to where you want to be financially. So again, if this is something that sounds interesting to you or anybody you know, because it's written in a language that even teenagers could read it, go ahead and click that link in the description and get yourself a copy. So quickly to recap, bet on yourself, because you got to bet on yourself before anybody else sees anything in you. Regardless of what people see or don't see, you need to bet on yourself and build up that self-esteem, build up that self-confidence, and take the risk. Bet on yourself. I'm not saying jump and take a crazy risk. Make sure it's a calculated risk like we covered in one of our previous episodes, right? So bet on yourself. Opportunities come to those who take a leap, not those who wait for permission. Bet on yourself, take that leap. And lastly, your future self is waiting. I've heard Ed Milet say this many years ago. And it's something I've always lived by since, which is there's 2 versions of you. One version is the version that you are right now. And it's a good version. There's things in your life you might want to change. I know there's things about me, I'll speak personally, that I want to change, that I want to adjust, that I want to get better at, that I want to stop doing or start doing. But then there's this version. And this version has everything that I desire. He's the man that I want him to be, the husband I want him to be, the father, the brother, the cousin, who I want him to be, the friend, the neighbor. And he has a level of success and the spiritual man that I want to be. There's a gap between these 2 people. My whole life's purpose is to become this person, become this version of Kadeem McLean, that when I get there, I could say, okay, and God can look at me and say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Again, I got that from Ed Milet, but it's so powerful that it's something I've adopted to my life. And it's something that I aspire to do and be. So my decisions that I make lead me to becoming this individual, this person. That's the ideal version of myself. Even when I pray, I say, God, help me to become this person. Help me to become this man as you call me to be. My whole point to saying that is to say your future self is watching and they're waiting. Your future self is watching and they are waiting. So will you step up to meet that person, to become that version of yourself? If you are going to, guess what? It requires you betting on yourself. It requires you taking those opportunities regardless of what the world is saying, regardless of what your mother, father, brother, sister, cousin, uncle, auntie are saying. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Bet on yourself and take the opportunity, take the chance, take the risk. So my question for you today is, what area of your life do you need to bet on yourself? Something you've been waiting to do, something you've been hesitant, something you know you should do. What area do do you know you need to bet on yourself? Drop it in the comments, send me a DM on social media. And if this episode was helpful for you, if you got a gem from it, you got a nugget, you got something that was perspective shifting, drop it in the comments, like this video, subscribe, and share it with somebody else. Because if you got something from it, somebody else could as well. Don't be selfish. Don't hold it to yourself. Let's share it with the world. Share it with the people we care about. Kadeem here, and I'll see you in the next one.